Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Kennedy Mason. For those in the back, there are a few spots up here if you want to come up. Up next, we have the session, Data Governance at Scale, Empowering 10K Users with Minimal Administration. Please help me in welcoming Joshua Van Otten and Kiran Bugata from Robert Half.
All right, thank you, Kennedy. And thank you, all of you. Yeah, there are lots of seats up here if you don't want to stand up in the back. We're excited to be here. We hope the story that we have to share will be helpful for you and your Domo journey. So we'll just get into it. Maybe just a little bit of let's see if I can figure out how to work this.
There you go.
There yet? Next slide. There we go. So yeah, just introduce us really quick. We'll tell you a little bit about our company, and then we'll get right into the content. My name is Josh Van Otten. I've been with Robert Half for almost 20 years. A lot of that's been building reporting teams, automating solutions, building analyst communities, and really trying to find ways to empower business users to do the job that they need to do. So it's been a real exciting journey. Prior to that, I was with a financial services startup in San Francisco and did a little stint with Discover Card prior to that.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for this time and opportunity for us to take you through some of the amazing things that we're doing at Robert Half. My name is Kiran Bugata. I'm the Director of Data Governance. I spearhead the data governance program at Robert Half. Prior to joining Robert Half, I spent about a decade of my career starting and growing data governance practices at many notable companies like Cisco, VMware, and Tesla, showcasing my extensive experience and, more importantly, my commitment to excellence in the field of data governance.
Thanks, Karen. So just a little bit about our company. We love Robert Half. It's a great place to work. We connect job seekers with clients for project and full-time work. I work out of a remote office in Phoenix. Karen's in San Ramon near our corporate services location. And if you have a staffing need, check us out and see if we'd be a good fit.
Yeah.
That's all we're going to do about that. So why are we here today? Governance at scale. This is about how do we manage a platform with 10,000 users, and what are some of the things that we've done to minimize administration. So I guess just by a show of hands, I guess I want to get a sense of, for a 10,000 user implementation, how large of an admin team would you need to manage that environment? So maybe raise your hand if you think, 20, 15, 10, 7, 5, okay, 2, 1. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about, our background and, where we're at. So we started out in 2016. We did a small proof of concept in marketing. We had about 50 licenses at the time, and we just tried to put Domo through its paces and see what it could do. In 2018, we had kind of our first real proof of concept, automating Salesforce data on the Domo platform. And this was really our launching point. This is where our leadership saw that Domo was super powerful, was super nimble, and that we could build and deploy really quickly. As part of that POC in 2018, we saved 2,000 hours a week in administrative burden that was being done before, and that was just the release of one dashboard. So we like to say we paid for Domo in our first year, and it's been great ever since. It's become a critical platform for us. Right now, we empower our sales teams. We've got branches all over the world that are helping people find jobs, helping clients find qualified candidates. And so, it's really important that they understand where they're at. When they input something into Salesforce, their expectation is that it shows up on their dashboard, and we've been able to deliver that for them. We also have a philosophy around what our analysts should do. We've always had pockets of reporting folks across the organization. and they were all using their own tools. Most of them were just using Excel or Access and Microsoft products, and no one ever knew what they were doing. Anytime a new update came out for Office, everything broke, and it was just this big nightmare. I see some of you laughing, knowing that you've likely been through that as well. So our goal was to say, hey, we're going to give you the best tool that you could possibly have. You can stick with what you want, but we're going to buy enough licenses and have the right and create an environment of virtual unlimited capacity so that you can come in and do what you need to do. And so we've grown that analyst community over time to where it's at today. We have one full-time person that manages our Domo instance. He's our admin, and we have a couple people that back him up. So I like to say we have 2 full-time equivalents that manage our instance. And a lot of that is due to some of the automation that we've put in place. And so we'll walk you through that today. We're going to go through 3 governance areas that we feel have been key to our success. We'll talk about user governance, data governance, and content governance. So we'll start with user. So some of the challenges that we face, we are a sales organization at the end of the day. And in any sales organization, you've got a churn of talent that passes through our branch offices. So we onboard and offboard thousands of people every year in our Domo platform. And so it's important that when people log in on their first day, that they have access to everything that they should have access to, that their security's in place, that they have a seamless single sign-on experience. It's also important that people can only see what they're supposed to see. And so we'll talk a little bit about our security model and how that works. And finally, as you all know, it's super easy to create lots and lots of dashboards. So another challenge that we have is how do we focus people on the content that matters most? And we'll share our solution to that. So first, around user security, around user access. So when we first started out, we would just have single sign-on auto-create users when they log in. And that was fine when it was a couple thousand users. The problem was they'd sign in, they weren't part of any groups, they weren't part of any security policies, and we'd basically have to say, wait a day, because that's when all those things would happen. So now what we do is we're using the Workday Report as a Service connector that brings our people in real time, near real time. And so as we have a start in Workday, we can onboard them in Domo automatically. So we've scripted this. At the time, the governance toolkit wasn't there. But if that's something you're interested in, the governance toolkit has a user management function where you can basically give it the actions that you want it to take from a create or delete standpoint, and it'll automatically do that. We also have automated our AD groups. So again, when we first started, we checked that little checkbox that said bring in all the groups from your IDP, and overnight we had 20,000 groups in Domo, which was really unmanageable. When we moved from ADFS, a hosted ADFS solution, to Azure AD, we decided to take a different approach. And so here we built a process where we configure a list of groups that we want to be synced between Domo and Active Directory. And so now, instead of managing those 20,000 Active Directory groups, most of which we're never going to use in Domo, we've got 200 groups that we manage. And if anyone ever needs a new group added, we add it to the configuration table. And the next time the process runs, it picks it up, it syncs the users, and we're ready to go. And so we've really striven to make groups central to how we share and secure content in Domo. The thing on the right, that's just our little dashboard where we watch our directory syncer. Shout out to Jesse Kreitzman, if he's in here. He was a Domo consultant at the time. He's in product now, but he was a great resource to help us get this up and running. So next up, security. It was really important for us in managing the number of users that we have. We couldn't be tasked with manually managing personalized data permission policies. It just wasn't something that was possible. So before we even had that original POC in 2018, we actually ran a security proof of concept to make sure that we could automate this solution. And in fact, what we built then is virtually the same thing that we have today. So basically what we've done is we've set up a configuration data set that defines the data sets that require PDP. We've built in some capabilities to configure that by different levels. So we might say, we want to secure this at the operational area of our sales hierarchy down to the region area. And we only want these specific job functions to get access. And through this configuration web form, that will then feed the rest of the process. That goes through an ETL, joins it with our Workday employee data, joins it to our sales hierarchy, and at the end, it produces a data set of PDP policies that we want applied in the system. Originally, it was a Java program that we all had to ask support for that, but now the PDP automation is part of the governance toolkit. I'd highly recommend using it. Today, we manage over 650,000 policies through this automation. It runs in real time during the day. If someone's terminated at noon, 5 minutes later, their security is going to be wiped out in Domo. And so it's become really powerful to have that precision. Also with the Java program, if anyone's still on that, ours at least seem to take forever to run. They've resolved all that with the solution that's in there now. So finally, I mentioned earlier, it's really easy to create content in Domo and share it to users. So how do you focus them on what matters most? This is a view of what one of our branch directors would see on their Domo side menu. They have access to over 35 dashboards. Regional directors have access to over 50. Operational presidents have access to over 100 dashboards. And so this really started causing a problem that they were unsure of where they should go to see their content. And so what we did is we created through the HTML data brick card, this is one card being powered by one data set that shows users their top 3 pages that they visit in the last 90 days and other dashboards that they should be looking at based on their role. So if they're a branch director, we've curated the list of dashboards that are important to that role. If they're on the desk making calls to our clients, they've got a curated list of dashboards that they should be looking at. This is their landing page in Domo. We actually tell them to hide their side menu. That's there for reference. They can get to the other dashboards, but this is where they should go. It links out to all the dashboards. These are embedded iframes of actual cards with real numbers. So we're using the Domo Everywhere embed internally to surface that content up. We're super proud of this. All the noise that we used to have around users saying they were confused on where to go has virtually gone away. Huge kudos to Hugo Amaral here, sitting in the middle. Maybe he wants to stand up and take a bow. He built all of this. And And we wanted to give you a gift today. So our gift to you is this. We've packaged up our ETL. We've packaged up the JavaScript and HTML for the HTML brick card. You can take what we've given you and build this quickly. All you've got to do is connect the governance and some Domo Stats data sets so that your activity logs, so that your user data can pump in, and you can produce this exact same thing today. So take the QR code if you want it. We're really excited to share it with you. I hope you get a lot of value out of it. And then, of course, you can tweak it to your needs for your company. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Kiran to talk about data governance.
Thank you, Josh. I'm going to wait for people to take their pictures. We good? All right. Well, that was a tough act to follow, so um, I'm gonna try and give as much as I can. At Robert Half, one of the main things that we wanted to do is we wanted to create an open and secure analytical environment. It's kind of in the spirit of self-serve. Um, and the way we did this was we leveraged our company cultures of integrity and a very strong culture of trust in order to enable this environment. Uh, we we grew very rapidly at Robert Half. Currently we have around 20,000 data sets, close to 150,000 report cards, and that's a rapid growth. I mean, it's a rapid influx of data, a huge growth in our analytics. Well, but we did anticipate this growth, and we put some governance measures in place. We started by incorporating a centralized intake for some of the common data that gets piped in from systems of record like Workday, Salesforce, PeopleSoft. We created standardized data sets for some of the common data like master data and hierarchical data. We instituted a bring your own key feature, which is, we set up our key store on our own Amazon instance, and we shared that key with Domo to encrypt our data. Now, what it does is it puts us in a great position of control. Like if we ever suspect that our data is compromised, we can simply change the keys, and we can render our data unreadable. And like any growing environment, which is rapidly, growing, we had our own share of challenges. There were like three main challenges that come to the top of mind, and there are some of the details I would like to walk you guys through. But one of the main things is around report quality, the consistency of look and feel. When you have a diverse set of analysts and editors building reports and cards, the consistency of the look and feel can be compromised. I mean, we can't deploy theme. This morning there was a session around, I think it was around themes, where you can set up auto themes. Like back in the days, we had to come up with our own solutions. And then around data sharing, or the same reason, when you have a diverse group of individuals who have power to create data sets, write ETLs to create more data sets, create cards, and also share. It's very important for us to stay on top with respect to data sharing, and we provide proper guidance and guidelines. Also important is PII. I think I'm probably speaking a language that is close and familiar to everybody. In a very dynamic and changing regulatory environment, when we are piping in data day in and day out, it's very important for us to understand, is there PII in it, and how can we protect that? So while we celebrated this rapid growth, we also felt compelled to address some of these challenges, and I would like to step through some of these challenges that we faced and how we have handled them. We recognized very earlier on that we needed a more of an enterprise-level design standards. So the look and feel of the reports that get put out in our environment is consistent. So the way we did this is we added a critical addition to our report development lifecycle. We call it report certification. Report certification is a bunch of guidelines, best practices that is designed to take the editors through their report development journey. For example, when they're building out pages, there are guidelines around naming conventions. This morning there was a session around how can you use your layout to tell a really compelling story. How can you use your data and layout to tell visually compelling stories? So we have guidelines around the layout, judicial use of colors, so it conforms to the themes. And more importantly, one of the things that we instituted was development of user guides, so that the user, when they visit the page and they're going through their information journey, they're adequately supported with what's on the page. We have similar guidelines around cards as well, like labeling conventions, drill methodologies, and even simple ideas like having a last refresh timestamp so that the users who are visiting the card are informed about the latency or the currency of the data that's on the card. And then what we're looking forward, what we're planning to do right now is we are planning to incorporate what we're calling data cataloging into our report certification process. By data cataloging, it's a governance, the additional governance that we're going to put in place to vet and validate the definitions before they go in on our dashboards. So what we believe is with this step, they will be able to control some of the. We did notice that there were some data definitional inconsistencies across the environment, and we aim to address some of that with this data cataloging process. So with the report certification, with some of these guidelines and the data cataloging, we firmly believe that we're getting a good handle on our report quality and the consistency across. Stepping into the other challenge, which was around data sharing, we talked about 350 different editors that we have. So we acknowledged very early on we needed data sharing policies that will inform and instruct these editors on how to share, and so that our sharing becomes more controlled. And then what we did was we trained the user base. We went on an awareness campaign. We have a bi-weekly analytics council meeting where the analyst community comes together. So we leverage those forums to inform, create awareness on these policies using such forums. Not just policies, we deployed automations. We have Unshare bot that in real time scans and looks for any sharing behavior that is not conforming to the general standards and will automatically unshare it. We couple the policies, the unshare automation with a Domo dashboard that we created. This is a user activity dashboard that provides real-time visibility into type of user sharing that's happening in the environment. What this enables us is it enables us to observe any behavior and also take action against it. So with the policies, training and awareness, with the automation, and also with our Domo dashboard, we feel we have a very good control on our data sharing. The next challenge I would just want to talk about is the PII compliance. Like I was talking about, it's a dynamic environment. It's a dynamic regulatory environment that we live in. And then when we have an objective of creating an open and a secure and self-serve environment, it is very important that we have a dynamic solution to address this dynamic challenge. So we need a solution that looks into the incoming data, scans it, and identifies if it contains personally identifiable information. So what we did a few years ago was we partnered with the Domo data science team to develop a PII identification and categorization algorithm. What this algorithm does is it scans the data sets and identifies if the data set contains PII. And it's not just at the data set level, but it also looks at the column level and identifies the columns as well. So what we did was we coupled this with additional guidelines to our analyst community. So when they notice that a data set has been tagged as PII, that they take additional care to tag not just the data sets, but the cards as well. Looking forward, in fact, actually, as we speak right now, we are working with the Domo data science team. It's because it's been a few years to improve and enhance the data science algorithm. And we're also waiting in anticipation for some of the features that are coming out of Domo, particularly the columnar PDP, which we believe is a game changer. Because if we can tag columns that are PII, and we can put additional controls around those using columnar PDP, it would greatly increase our data privacy posture. So before I turn it back to Josh, I wanted to give a quick shout out to Domo data science team. They've been great partners in helping us set up the PII identification algorithm, and now helping us enhance it. So we would recommend automation for sure. So if you want, get in touch with your CSM so they can put you in touch with the Domo data science team. So now I would turn the stage back to Josh to talk about our content proliferation challenges.
Yeah, so on the main stage, did I see a PII detection tile now in ETL? Well, thank you. I think we helped build that. No, I'm sure there are many of you that have had that problem and that have contributed to that solution. I'm sure we're all learning from each other on that journey. So while that solution can detect PII in one data set, the solution that they deployed for us scans our whole environment every day. Any new data set coming in or any change in schema will re-trigger that check and make sure that we understand what PII exists in our system. So it's really powerful. All right, this next slide might give you a headache. It's the best graphic I could get. I'm sorry. We talked about having 350 editors. With so many people that can create content, our content has scaled dramatically. We've got 4,000 pages, 150,000 cards, 5,000 data flows. What does that say? 20,000 data sets?
Yeah.
You notice that little jump up in card history. We implemented another solution that we haven't talked about, which is card backups. So every day, any card that's gone through a change, we back it up. And so that's kind of why our card history has gone crazy the way it has. Is my mic cutting out? Am I talking too loud? No, okay. My wife says I talk too loud. It's just too easy to create content. So we needed a solution for this. We implemented our own kind of version of a trash bin. And so what we do here is we use the data that Domo already gives us through governance data sets and Domo stats to figure out what content is being used and what content is not being used. What data sets are islands unto themselves, not connected to anything, and what things are connected. And so these are some of the rules that we use to define trash today. So if it hasn't been looked at or accessed in the last 12 months, if the data flow doesn't have any surviving outputs, you can read through some of the rest of those. But basically, if it's not being used, we don't want it to take up space for people to worry about. So once we've identified it, the next step is we notify all the data owners that they have items that are on the trash list. And they're given this dashboard that they can drill into. They can see the metadata around their content, how we concluded it was trash, and it gives them a last chance to say, no. I only use this every 3 years, but it's really, really important. I need it. And so through a Domo web form, they can then whitelist it. They can whitelist the item. It goes off the list for another year, and we won't bother them again. So we run this process quarterly. We quarterly do the review. It's been really, really powerful. Right now, so I showed you the stats earlier. So what we've found is that 40% of our dashboards are trash. 70% of our cards are trash. 25% of our data is not needed. At the time, that was about 30 to 40 billion rows of data. And 5% of our data flows were trash. Now, if you look at our rules, data flows are the last thing to go. We need to kind of kill all the surviving outputs before we tackle trashing the data flow. So that number will go up as we run this more. Just a shout out to the Argo Analytics team. They were our partner on this, Andrew, John, and that team. I don't know if they're in here. They were great partners. I put their QR code up if you want to check them out. I think they've got some great solutions. They've worked in Domo a long time. They know the pain that we feel because they were doing it too. And they've built a lot of cool solutions to automate stuff. So I would recommend checking them out. All right, we're just going to go through some key takeaways, and we just wanted to have some time for some Q&A. These are the things that we hope that you get out of the session today. On the user governance side, please don't email invite your users if you can get away with it. And please don't share content to individuals. I've talked to a number of people here at Domopalooza that have talked about problems that they face, that once they share a dashboard, and now I've got 500 individual users on it, how do I effectively manage that? How do I take access away? How do I grant more? I would recommend tying everything to groups everywhere you can. And groups are really powerful now. If you haven't seen the group management in the governance toolkit, you can automate your own groups. If dynamic groups haven't given you the flexibility you want, you can just write an ETL with any rule you want, using any data around people that you want, and build a group off of that. Feed that into the group management governance utility, and it'll automatically keep that group in sync. Automate your PDP. That's just been huge for us. We had an international reporting team that in the beginning decided we don't trust the automated PDP, or we don't want to do it, or our requirements are so much different, so we're just going to automate our own, or we're just going to maintain our own. After a few months, they were calling, give us automated PDP. This is killing us. We've got our whole lives is spent managing people and policies. We don't want to do this anymore. And so if you've got a way to identify already what systems, what data your people should have access to, leverage that, format it in a way that it can be interpreted as a PDP policy, and use that PDP automation utility. It's super, super powerful. Another thing I'll touch on there that I didn't earlier, we have been pumping a ton of Workday data into Domo. We're a Workday Financials customer, so all of our general ledger data is in Workday. And so we've replicated all that over to Domo so we can do better reporting and deliver better financial insights to our leaders. But we didn't want to recreate the wheel in managing those permissions. So we exported the permissions from Workday, imported them into Domo through the Workday Report as a Service connector, and now they're in sync. We don't have to manage the policy. The approval process that Workday uses to grant someone access, it's granted there, that feeds into Domo, and then we never have to worry about those getting out of sync. And then if you like the idea of a dynamic directory, if you have that problem, we've found this to be super powerful. It's an easy way for people to see what they should have. As you release new content, you can bubble up that curated list to the first position. You can put a little new banner on it, and you can make sure that the new stuff that you're pumping out is front and center for them to start using. All right, Kiran, you want to go over your takeaways for?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the common theme you'd see across is, create policies, and then automate. That's kind of like the consistent theme you would notice. I think in order to address the consistency in the UI or the user experience, having a good look and feel across, we recommend you establish design standards. We highly recommend having a certification process that will enable you to not just vet and validate before anything goes prime time. One of the things I was talking about previously, which was data cataloging, I highly recommend that. Having a catalog of validated and vetted definitions before it goes on in your environment goes a long way to create data consistency. Have policies around data sharing and automate it. Use unshare bots. If you can automate it, that gets you a better security posture. And then finally, on the PII policy, we highly recommend that you have a automatic machine learning algorithm that will identify and tag PII for you. We recommend that you leverage the new features that are coming out. I don't know when, but the columnar PDP, like I was saying, is a game changer. We are waiting in anticipation for that, and I think that would greatly alleviate any of your privacy posture for your Domo environments.
Yeah, thanks, Kiran. On the content governance side, just have a plan. You're going to create trash in your environment. You copy a dashboard for a one-time test. Potentially all those cards are copied, the dashboard's copied, and it's just forgotten. Data sets, data flows. I mean, if you copy a data flow today, it stays on a schedule, which I'd encourage Domo to maybe rethink auto-copying the schedule as well. But it copies the schedule. All your data outputs are replicated. That schedule could be running for days and weeks and years without anyone even remembering that it's done there. So just be aware of that. And then we've just found that putting the burden on the individual, they're not going to go clean out their stuff. We tried to run the contests and things, clean up your stuff, get rid of the most stuff. People are too busy. It's not a high-value task for them, so they end up not doing it. So we try to spoon-feed it. We've already got all the data from Domo telling us what's used and not. We try to surface that up for them so that they can use that, make a decision about whether it's trash or not. And then the automated process runs, which I don't think I even talked about what the automated trash process does. But effectively, it removes permissions from the content, making it virtually invisible to anybody but an admin, disables all the schedules, moves all the pages and cards to a central kind of trash location, tags the data sets. So effectively, the content is gone for anyone besides an admin. And then, we leave it in a trash state for a period of time before we purge it. If somebody comes back and says, oh my gosh, you trashed a dashboard and it was so important, or I did some proof of concept, we can bring that back for them immediately. It's still there. Right now, we've kind of had about a year grace period. So we say if it's trash for a year and no one's asked for it for a year, it's getting dumped. So.
Oh, and one final key takeaway I forgot to mention was implement bring your own key if you can. And I think that's extremely important to safeguard your data in your environments.
Yeah, so we'd love to answer any questions that you have. I think we've got maybe 10 minutes. Yeah. Yeah.
I ask that you.
Oh, yeah, sorry, we got a mic coming.
Just because, and I'll run it.
Right here. Yeah.
Thank you.
Testing. Okay.
Our Domo Ovation Award winner, everybody.
Thank you.
I forget your name.
Coleman.
Coleman. That's
Coleman. Is this okay? It's on. You mentioned tagging cards and pages with a production tag. That's currently not native to Domo, so I'm curious how you're doing that. Like, it's not the same with the data set where there's a tagging feature. Are you using a web form, or how are you attributing that production to that content?
It's not automated. It's a manual. It's a guideline recommended to the editors to manually tag.
Gotcha.
So we don't have an automated feature at this
But
point.
manually tag how? Through a naming convention, through a web form? Like, how are you associating a tag to content?
To the data set, you mean?
No, because you mentioned cards and dashboards, you were tagging with a production tag.
Yeah, so we have like a procedure right now, a guideline for the users to go in and tag the data sets. We've still not developed it at the card level. Yeah. So I was saying we have.
Oh.
Yeah.
we probably misspoke there. We don't tag the cards and dashboards today. We don't surface that up.
Gotcha.
I guess through our PII dashboard is where we surface it up for the admin team and the analyst community, where we say this card is built on a data set and fields that have been flagged as PII, so that's how we surface it today.
Gotcha.
Not through kind of the UI.
Gotcha. And then, can I ask another question?
Yeah.
Okay, I already got the mic. Okay. On your overview page, your home page, you have their most viewed content, which is programmatic. But then for the key dashboards for their role, is that programmatic, or is that something that you're going through and identifying, hey, for this group or individual, these are the ones that some functional lead or us or whoever think is key for your role?
Yeah, so what we built for you, because it needed to be something that everybody could build and have access to. What we built for you is that curated content section is the most popular dashboards across your instance. That's what we build for you. What we did is we sliced that. We took most used dashboards by role and by geography. So we looked at it by different countries, by role, and then we sent that to our leadership team to say, what are the top things that they should be looking at? And so we do have a separate web form that we use to configure the curated content.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I like that. Can I ask one more question? Last one, I promise. I promise.
Sounds like we need to go to dinner.
We definitely do. You talked about your staging ground, like your trash bin, pre-deletion. Is there obviously, if you're on consumption for data, it's important to delete and remove. But do you see value in, even if no one has access to it, but an admin deleting content such as pages and cards as well? Is there value? Because I see, and obviously from data, it's important because of usage, but for cards and dashboards, if no one can even see it, isn't it effectively deleted? And do you see any value in taking it one step further and actually trashing it?
I mean, I'd just like to see the stats go down, to be honest.
Makes us
Yeah,
look
I
good.
mean, it's really just, it feels cluttered. And so, even though no one else can see it, I know it's there. I'll be honest, we have not deleted any cards, pages, or data flows. We've only deleted data sets. And it was just to kind of get back some billions of rows of data. Yeah, that's it. But we're not on consumption currently. We just have some caps that guide us. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for this.
Yeah, right here, orange collar. Yeah.
I can go first? Okay, good. So that's good. Yeah, hey, thanks for doing this.
Yeah.
So quick question what I do have is, you have one instance. Is it one instance where your entire Domo?
We do
is
have
on?
one instance today.
Got it.
Yeah, I mean, we're moving toward a sandbox instance to test
Got it.
some of the beta features. I
Got it.
think we just had a couple of problems with some of the betas in production. So,
Got it.
But for sure, yeah, all of our developers are in the production instance.
So your dev, QA, UAT, everything happens there, and you promote it to production. So,
yeah, we have kind of a process that we
Yeah.
use. So if it's a managed page, it's production content. It's gone through our certification process. It's managed. It's ordered. That's where we build all of our watchers to make sure that data flows are running within SLAs and connectors are running as they should. We look at the production content. But anything outside of that, if there's a team of 10 people that is just trying to do stuff for their team, we don't manage it at all. It's all in there. It's in their minds, it's production, but we don't consider it production.
yeah, one last question.
Yeah.
On the PDPs, you said 650,000
Yeah.
PDPs. So that means you're doing PDPs for every single data set.
Every data set, yeah,
Wherever it's needed.
every production data set for
Okay.
sure requires PDP to be turned
Okay,
on.
got it. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
That's
You had said when you detect the PII that you change the securities for those columns. Are you changing just what people can access it, or what does that mean?
Yeah, so right now it's visibility that we do. I think with columnar PDP, which I'm hoping to hear an announcement about. Coleman said it was coming on stage, so
Yeah.
if I don't hear an announcement tomorrow, I'm gonna be pissed. So yeah, the goal would be is when we detect it, we're gonna automate columnar PDP on that field, so that we'll probably start it with a really strict policy, and then as there's business use cases to demand more, then we can broaden that.
So in terms of who can access that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
We've
Kennedy, was that a 2-minute?
Yeah,
Okay.
we've got
All right.
time for one more question.
All right.
All right.
And then we're happy to chat in the hall if anyone wants to
In the back.
chat more. Happy to do it.
Oh, sorry.
I'll be quick. I really like your checklist form. Where do you all store that?
Oh, you mean the certification checklist?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
I think
certification
it's
checklist.
just a document card that we give people, and they can download and they can go through it and check it. So it's not anything fancy right now.
Do you store the completed checklist in Domo anywhere so that a admin could go back and look at it? And do you leverage any of the native certification processes within Domo from that checklist?
We don't store it in Domo. We do store it on the side for now. I think that is an opportunity where we could kind of build a more robust kind of in-app solution for that. I think your second question was?
The native certification process within Domo?
We have used it. We tried it. The card level certification was just burdensome. You know, manager had to click approve through every one, and we found that we were asking our consultants to build a script to automate that. And we're just like, I'll just send the manager an email, and he can go look at it, and he can tell me if it's approved or not. That's part of our certification workflow that we've got, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, if anyone has any other questions, we're happy to chat out in the hall, but we really thank you for coming today. I think there's a survey code here. I think.
Oh, all right, you got it. Click through it. Thank you.
So I encourage you to take a survey.
Oh, yeah.
If you like us, we might come back. If you don't, we won't.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.